10 years ago, in January 2015, I recorded myself give an impromptu talk about the value system of an organization I knew deeply, and it kind of landed. That has surprised me ever since, but now I'm researching value systems again. But let me start from the beginning. I uh, work in corporate world now. I work in a German manufacturing organization, well, international manufacturing organization. I was based in Germany, in Hamburg. It has about 11,000 employees, and I started in December 22. I did not start as a designer, but I still built my job, my first job there as a visitor manager is in a production site. I built that on the basis of the results of a design sprint. I called a design sprint in my first month, which was a great start. And the results of that design sprint with the leadership team, with other teams, became my job for a year, and then moved on to other things. So it became a logical progression, for me at least, to now work in design. I'm now officially a process designer. And some of you may know that design work, co-design work, needs standards. So you need to have a set of standards because in each design sprint you make decisions, and those need to be led by standards. So I found my organization having no design standards, so I started by using my own. That has worked really well as well. I was really successful in designing processes to implement very complex, and I need to read those words, complex upgrades in legacy turbines, because otherwise I would, talk about that at length. So this has been great while we were able to work inside a design circle, which I built. I shall probably make another video about that methodology I built. Most people have heard of a design sprint, but a design circle also includes what happens before and after, like what happens before to make sure you get the right people into the room, what happens after the verification phase. So that's a bit of methodology that we've already built. And yeah, it was successful, but then of course with more success you get bigger fish to fry. So I was more dependent on cross-team collaboration, and my design standards stopped working because, of course, I mean, the thing is, really, it makes sense. We need to work from the value system of the organization. I cannot bring in my own value system as external supplier. So I started researching the value system of the organization. I found 4 basic values. I found different standards and principles of various improvement initiatives of various teams that know that they need them. But talking to lots of people, I couldn't really see the need to even have a value system that works until until I spoke to the enterprise architect, who of course understands the needs for principles, and who had compiled their own set of principles. And we had a great 1.5 hour chat. And when I asked, so should the principles that you've just shown me be based on the values of the organization? I got an exasperated, oh, they don't understand. They will never do that work. So I obviously wondered, so what is happening here? How do we keep building things that don't fit together? So I had obviously uncovered something, and then took that as a challenge and built an alliance throughout the organization with learning and development, with the Works Council, who has a working group on company culture, with data and cloud, with somebody else who recognized the issues, with, of course, the business unit that I work in, with the director there. And one of the alliance then said, yeah, if we can show that this is a need throughout the organization, we can take this up to the C-suite. What, like it's hard, you know? Um, and then thinking about the C-suite, I then thought, okay, I need to look at what other organizations are doing in this space. And so I started researching the DAX 40, starting with the top 5, who all publish their values online. So it's not really a hard bit of research to do. And so I found they all have vague one letter or one word values that they publish, who are all not capable of being the base of a value system that supports things like architecture principles and design principles and other things. So I felt like, okay, I may have discovered something here. And then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they have an internal structure and they have an internal value system where things fit together. But then their public values don't show that. And in either way, it's somehow weird. And so that's that's, I mean, it sounds like I'm just laughing about all of it, but I'm not really, because the effect of that is that we have a lot of dysfunctional organizations. And in my work, I have found that, okay, if something, well, also because one of my principles is user-centeredness, if that's a word, if something doesn't work, if a word doesn't work, then use different words. So I've in the course of my work, I've investigated, researched in how the teams that my team relies on, whose resources that we need to plug in. So I researched how they work. Each of those research interviews became a lesson in what the words work. Because if I ask, okay, do you have any knowledge management? No, we don't do that. But when I say, okay, how do you onboard people? Oh yeah, we have this library of trainings that people can watch, in their own time. We have regular live meetings where questions get answers. We have uh, a chat that belongs to those live meetings where, almost 60 people are in, where, hard questions get answers. And then sort of my two measurements that came out of those research interviews were, okay, complex questions get answers. But the other one also, that the manager of that team suggested, okay, we have much less staff turnover since we have that collaborative structure. And then, of course, we don't have, like, even if I go to IT, which I did, of course, and say, oh my God, I found a beautifully working collaborative structure that forms this much capacity of answering difficult questions. They didn't understand what I was talking about, right? What? Because we don't have words, and even sort of, I'm learning how to use fun German words like Wildwuchs, because even this collaborative structure is organically grown, right? It's grown out of the need to answer all these complex questions, and it doesn't really interact with any of the other structures in the organization. So even though it is something beautifully working, it forms capacity of answering about on average 5 complex questions per day, it still isn't discoverable until I sort of did all this work, and my big breakthrough was then finding agreement with different people and different parts inside and outside of that structure that, yeah, this is what we have. So my question was, if I can find words that people uh, uh, that land, but just by testing, iterating, and then testing again, and then iterating again, then how has the enterprise architect, a hugely powerful role in the organization, not found a way to explain the need to have this sort of functioning value system for his work to be based on to the leadership of the organization, and evidently not just in my organization, but in most German organizations. And yeah, so this first video of a series where I explain more of the concepts that I'm developing, and that might help, you know. But yeah, I just wanted to do it like as unstructured as my lecture back then, because clearly it resonated with people. And also, what is similar to the situation back then is that I have, I want to talk about the results of having dysfunctional organizations where nothing fits together, nothing is structured. We just have silos, kingdoms. Again, the word silo does not, it does not, find any reaction when I use it in my organization. Like, so I had to come up with a whole story around why silos are a bad thing, a whole visual around that. But you can. That's my point. You can find a way to explain these concepts to people who aren't in IT, right? Or in whatever I am doing, in collaboration, which isn't even a field, right? And so the result of not doing this is just our organizations having no functioning backbone. We're building everything on sand. Like, what? And is this, yes, I am, amused now, but the result of that is that people have, you know, either people are able to work on the basis of power and relationships, right? But organizations that function on the basis of power and relationships are dysfunctional for those who have neither, right? And so we can see the result of that, of course, the result of that, in monetary values, you can see, but, much worse is what it does to people trying to work in, unstructured, dysfunctional organizations. I mean, we have, burnout is only the most extreme form of what it does to you, but I am just really incredulous at that we seem to have completely missed doing this foundational work. And so one more thing that is something I need to probably make a separate video about is that it's probably worse in Germany, because we have, right from the Ministry for Works and Economy, push the concept of new work as umbrella term for everything that is somehow new and innovative about the world of work, right? And it's at the same time, it's never been defined what new work entails. And then organizations, look at the whole, okay, we need to look at new work. Okay, flexible hours. Well, we can't do flexible hours. We have production. Okay, that's us done with new work, right? So that's clearly not a functioning concept for, anything. Is like, at least if we had sort of come up with a list of things that organizations need to look at, apart from, flexible hours, if we had, sort of not left it to the individual consultants to decide what is new work and what isn't. Like, this is a thing that has happened. So that's probably a separate video again. So yeah, this is going to be a series. I'm also going to talk about design and collaboration standards, which, as opposed to architectural principles, enterprise architecture principles, design and collaboration standards isn't even a thing that I know has any sort of seen any understanding. And in my mind, this is a completely sensible thing, that having teams work to sort of, having the structures be having an interface that other people on the outside who are trying to work with this team can recognize, can work with. You can have an organization full of well-intentioned people, but this is not going to happen organically. This is something the organization needs to set. We set this as a standard, and so this is how the structures will look like from the inside, from the outside. So I'm sort of just maybe building a new concept here with enterprise standards, that involve collaboration. Because clearly, if IT says we provide the tools, we let people do with them what they will, they're intelligent people, this is not going to happen organically. So I was sort of inventing a field, and please comment if you know anything where this work is happening. There's going to be different words for it. Please comment